Have you ever just needed another perspective because you think that maybe my viewpoint is maybe skewed, or I'm just too focused, or my focus is not broad enough? Have you ever had that happen to you? Well, it's happened to me. Sometimes I just need another perspective because I need someone else to reel me in or make it all make sense. And so today in this episode of the real life event, we're going to look at a person that's saying, hey, am I making a mountain out of a molehill, or is there really something going on? So stay tuned because we're going to talk about part two of mountain out of a molehill. So I did this before, and I got feedback from it, and people were asking, is it a little more detail that we could talk about with this particular um, situation? So I said yes. Okay, so let me go ahead and read this. But before I do, let me do my disclaimer. This video is protected by the Fair Use Act of 1976, copyright disclaimer under Section 107 of the Copyright Act 1976. Allowances made for fair use for purposes such as criticism, comment, news reporting, teaching, scholarship, education, and research. So I have it up on the screen, and it says, just going to read it to you. I'm not going to go into as much detail as I did last time. I will have it listed up for you to go back to it because I'm not going to cover everything I covered in the last one. It says, I wanted to ask if I'm being too uptight or if I have a right to feel upset regarding my wife and her ex. They have been divorced for 8 years now, and they share 3 teenagers / young adults. We have been married for almost 6 years. He gives her very expensive gifts for Christmas, her birthday, or just because. This really bothers me, and I don't feel it is acceptable or appropriate. He is remarried as well. I am 60 and my wife is 45. Her ex is a couple of years younger than her. I'm curious to hear your thoughts on this and wonder if I'm making a mountain out of a molehill. So that's the situation. That's the situation. He, like I said last time, he's concerned about it because the ex just keeps giving her gifts. And so, like I said, I talked about it a little bit more in detail at the beginning. So you can look at the video. I'll have it posted up here at the end for you to go back and look at it. But just want to go over a couple of things I talked about last time was emotional invalidation. I talked about that. And so you can go back to that. So today I just want to talk about some more issues that I see. And one of the issues is respect and boundaries. Respect and boundaries are two of the other issues that I see. And when we talk about respect in relationship, we have to talk about what respect looks like. And hopefully, he said that they've been married for 6 years. So it is my hope that they talked about this before, about because there's a blended family, what the expectations are. And a lot of times in a blended family, when people get together, they try to function as a nuclear family, as if this was just a relationship that I had with him. We're no longer together. But because she has children by him, her ex, we know that he's going to be in the picture to some degree. But when we talk about respect, and I also talked about that in my book, Take a Deep Breath, Relax, You Got This, there's a chapter on respect. And there is also some of the videos that I have here. It talks about the ex partner. When we're talking about a blended family, there has to be issues talked about ahead of time. And one of the issues has to be, how will the ex infuse into our relationship? Yes, she has children by him, but how far does that relationship go? And when we talk about respect, respect is an absolute must for a blended family because that's the foundation, not just a blended family, but for any family or any relationship. Her husband's feelings are not prioritized. Because he's sharing this, I'm assuming that he's told her how he's felt. He's told her that, you know what, I'm not comfortable with your ex still giving you gifts. Now, looking at gifts, and that's something I talked about in the other video, what gifts are to show some type of emotion, how you feel about the person. Looking at why does her ex continue to give her gifts? It's been 8 years since the relationship has been over. She's been in a relationship with him for 6 years. Why does he still continue to give her just because gifts? And that's something that has to be looked at. And when we talk about the mutual respect, if he's saying, I don't like this, and he's telling her, and she's allowing it to continue, then there's a red flag. The onus is on her. The onus is not on the ex-partner to stop the situation because he's not married to the ex-partner. He's married to her. And I know a lot of times in relationships, people will get mad at the other person instead of their spouse or their boyfriend. They're the ones that made the commitment. She's the one that made the commitment to him. So she's the one that has to stop the gift giving. She's the one that's responsible for making sure that this doesn't come in to our relationship and become an issue. And obviously it is an issue. So the onus is on her to stop whatever is going on. Why do you continue to allow him to give you the gifts? She may think, oh, it's no big deal. It's just a gift. But again, if it's a problem with your partner, then it is an issue. Another thing I want to look at is when you talk about respect in a relationship, that helps you to create an emotional safe space and a healthy space for you and your partner. If you don't feel like this person respects you, then you're not going to feel safe in that relationship. You're not going to want to create that bond. And in a blended family, it takes 3 to 5 years for that bond to be established. So in that 3 to 5 years, they can't establish that bond because the respect is not there. Because again, he said that we've been married for almost 6 years, which falls in that 3 to 5 years, and that's an issue. So that has to be resolved so that bond can take place between he and she, because he may still feel that she has a bond. It suggests that she still has a bond with her ex. Boundaries are important because it prevents unnecessary issues and misunderstanding. Boundaries are important because it prevents unnecessary issues and misunderstanding. Someone might say this is just a misunderstanding. That's why you need boundaries. Because if there were boundaries in place, then you wouldn't have these unnecessary issues. We wouldn't have these misunderstandings. Because in her mind, it may be a misunderstanding that, you know what, he really doesn't like me. This is just who he is. Okay, but create a boundary so it won't cause a problem in your relationship. So these are some of the reasons why I say that they need to go ahead and have counseling so these issues can be explored. What we're doing right now, because I don't have the backstory, I just have a little of his story. I'm doing a lot of assuming how he feels, how she feels, what's going on. But once they sit down in therapy, then they can really share what's really going on. He can really communicate. She can communicate. Why does she continue to allow this? She can communicate what's going on with the other partner and his wife. I don't know, is an issue with his wife because he's married also, but the writer doesn't say is an issue with his wife. So those are things that need to be explored. But just on the surface, just looking at it, the respect needs to be there and the boundary needs to be there. If those two are there, then that issue can be resolved. Because you can't be responsible for what other people are doing, but you can be responsible for what's going on in your household. And again, if this is an issue with him, then it needs to be addressed. And so I just wanted to hop on and talk a little bit more about that because I had gotten some feedback from it where some people thought it's okay to continue to give gifts. And if both people agree to it, absolutely it's okay. But he's not agreeing to it, so it can't be okay. And so let's continue this conversation down here. Let me know what you think. I love to have the feedback, and one day we could probably have a live interaction where we can kind of talk and in real time. So here's the first video. Again, is he making a mountain out of a molehill? You can see what I said in the beginning, and then you can continue it here. Go ahead and subscribe. Let me know what your thoughts are. I love the interaction. I love being able to talk to you. And let me know if there's, you can just email me because the link is down in there. Let me know if there's a story that you'd like for me to talk about, and I'd love to do it.